Now we're going to put the castle inside the loom, and it's going to go around the middle. You can see there where the screw is, and we place that screw through the middle, and it's got to be tapped in. So this is another hex head screw, or bolt I should say. It's not a screw, it's a bolt, and it's a 1.5 inch, and it needs to be tapped to be level with the surface as well. Once you've done that, you can pop the handle on. Thanks to hubby for tightening it up for me. And then on the other side we do the same thing, so tapping that bolt right in so that it sits level with the surface of the castle. And we also place the handle on that side. Now we're attaching the support rails to the castle top. This is the 1.25 inch screws, and we also need to leave a 1/2 mil gap so that we've got a little bit of movement there. You can see the loom's really coming together now. We're doing the support rail on the other side as well. Now at this point my husband's just going around, because we've got most of the frame together now, he's just going around and tightening up anything that needs to be tightened, ensuring that the frame of the loom is really strong. Okay, so now that we've got most of the frame together, we can put the shafts together. You'll find these little sticks, and they have a hole in one end, and we take the screw and screw into that end, but we're going to leave a 5mm gap. So don't screw that one all the way in, and you only screw on one end. So there's all of our shaft ends. You see the screws are only on one end, and there's a 5mm gap. These are the Casanova heddles. When you take your heddles out of the bag, the green ties, leave them on for now. You can untie the whole bundle, as you can see my husband's doing there. It's some white string around the outside, but leave those twisty ties on. Those are to keep your heddles nice and organized for you. You'll have 8 bunches of heddles, and we're going to put one on each shaft because we have 8 shafts all together. Now to put the shafts together, you grab your metal rods and insert into the hole at one end. Then grab your bunch of heddles. My husband's just going to show you here where you actually attach the heddles. So the twisty ties make a hole in the middle, and that's where you want to put the heddles onto that bar. Attach the other end, make sure you've got a screw at the top as well. Okay, and then we attach the other metal rod at the bottom. So we put the metal rod through the same place at the bottom of the heddles as we did at the top, and don't twist those heddles, you want them nice and straight, and then pop those in the holes as well. And then we have one shaft completed. You push them together at the ends. These can be taken apart again so that you can remove heddles. This is just showing you how the castle folds down. So if we actually release those handles at the edges just by untwisting them a little, it all becomes loose, and then it can work its way along that gap and lay down. So you need to lay it down to actually get the shafts inside. You can push the shafts in to that space from underneath the loom at the back. Then you need to grab your lengths of Casanova. There'll be 8 lengths, and they're pre-cut. And you can see that they have little holes running along them. I'll show you in a moment what those are for. Lay them all out first so that they're all ready for you to go and not tangled. Okay, so you're going to count 3 holes up. 2, 3. On the third one, pop that over that screw. Remember that screw that we put in the end of the shaft bar? And we left a 5mm gap, and this is why, because we're going to pop that Texsolve over the top. And then that goes through the first hole and out the other side. So you come around the top of the loom, you can see to the left there, that's the first hole that it's come out. I'm going to take it over to the other side of the loom and put it in the same hole on that side. Go around to the back of the loom again. There's that cord that I just popped through. And once again, I'm going to count up 3 holes and pop it in the screw of the shaft on the opposite side. I come back to the front of the loom and I want to attach it to the first lever. So I'm going to take it through that first hole using the threading hook. Then I need to grab that first lever, pull through with the threading hook, and then still using that loop of Texsolve, I'm going to loop it over the top of that lever. And that's our first shaft connected. How easy is that? You've got to love the Texsolve system. It is awesome. So I've already done shaft 2 here. You can see I've got two Texsolve cords in place now. So we're doing shaft 3. So my husband's counting up 3, attaching to that little screw. Now we're bringing it through the third hole. So once you've done the first hole, you just move through the holes in order. They are offset, but just move through in order and you'll be fine. Once again, counting 3 from the bottom of the cord and placing that over the head of the screw on that shaft, on what is now our shaft 3. Then I'm grabbing lever 3. Oh no, I'm not. I'm going through hole 3 first at the third lever. Grabbing lever 3 and I'm coming up through the bottom. You can't see very well here, but I'm going to give you another view in a moment, so don't worry about that. Pulling that cord through and then placing the loop over lever 3, and that one's now tied and ready to go. Okay, so shaft 4. You can see how you just slide them in underneath and then they just go in order. They end up, while the castle is folded down, the shafts are kind of lying on top of each other. Once you put the castle up again, once you've got all the shafts in, they will all be hanging. They won't be sitting on top of each other anymore. They'll be hanging vertically. So we're going through hole 4 on both sides, connecting up with that screw again, 3 holes down. Going through hole 4. Now here's your better view. Grabbing lever 4 and going through the bottom with the threading hook, which is very, very handy at this time. Pulling the loop through and then looping that over the lever. So this is how it looks once all of your Texsolve cords are done, which means that all of your shafts are ready. Then we can stand it up again. Don't forget to tighten your sides up there. Keep it nice and steady. Now that we've done that, we're going to put the beater together. So here we've got the top sides of the beater. Just make sure, once again, that those ridges are facing inwards, if you can see the ridges. And then we're going to pop the arms on top of that. So there's a long hole there that we put a washer on, and you put the bolt through from the other side and then tighten it up with a wing nut. And we do the same on the other side. Pop that bolt through from underneath, put it in the long hole, a washer, then the wing nut. Okay, now we're going to attach the bottom parts of the beater. With the screws, make sure you've got the right size screws. Oh, and I should say with those wing nuts, make sure that they are not sitting horizontal, that they're sitting vertically. Otherwise, if they're sticking out, they will get in the way of your beater. Do you see what I mean? They need to be parallel with the arms there, like my husband's done. Okay, so we're tightening these up. You can see we're putting the beater frame together. Ridges are facing inwards, which is really important because we need to be able to get our reed in there. Those ridges are what hold our reed in place. So he's just loosening off those wing nuts so that we can pop the reed in. So this is adjustable so that we can get our reed in there nice and tight. You'll have a 10 dent reed that comes standard with this loom, which is awesome because a 10 dent reed you can do so much with. You just try and center that as best you can. And when it looks centered, you can then tighten up those wing nuts again, making sure, as I said before, that they are parallel with those arms. They're not sticking out. Okay, so now we've got the beater frame, that's it. We're going to put the little rubber stoppers on that stops the beater from bashing against the loom. So this is just the same deal as those rubber feet that we put on the bottom. Just pop that little screw inside and attach them on either side. Now, this is where those support rails come into play that we put in earlier. So the bolt goes through the support rail, then the washer, and then you can pop your beater frame arm through that. Apologies if I'm not using the correct terminology here for the pieces. I try. So the same deal on that side. Don't forget to put the washer because that's going to help with the movement of the beater. Okay, we've got those pieces together. So another washer on either side. And then the cap. So once again, when we're tightening up these, we want to leave a 1/2 mil gap. So we don't want to tighten it completely. You imagine if we tighten it completely, that beater's not going to swing. And if it doesn't swing, it's not going to beat for you. So this is what's called a slum beater. They're quite lovely to use actually. It's just a nice action because it's not swinging completely freely. It's got enough tension to not swing completely freely, but you're in control of the beater as well. There you go, that's the action of the beater. So we leave enough of a gap that it does swing nicely, but not so much of a gap that it's wobbling about or anything like that. Now you have these two little stretchy black cords. You're going to knot one end and the unknotted end pop through that hole at the front and then pop through the other hole that's on the castle front and then knot the back. This is going to help with our beater tension. And then we do the same on the other side. If the cord's a little frayed, it's a little bit tricky to get through the holes. And then knot at the back. That stops the beater swinging out too far. Okay, now we're going to get our lengths of string and just lay those out ready. This is so that we can tie on our warp sticks. So starting at the back, you fold one of these strings in half and pull the loop through one of the holes in the back roller. I'm actually showing the front roller here. That's because we forgot to film the back roller, but it's the same thing. You do the same thing. Now we're at the back again. What my husband did was he measured 10 centimeters up from the back bar, the back beam, and he made a knot. Then he took one of those threads through the bottom of the stick and one down through the top of the stick. Pulled them out straight so that those ends should be the same length as one another, and then knotted that twice. You know, it's really hard to make a knot when you've got big man fingers. Okay, and then we grab the stick shuttle and use that as a template to make the next loop. So another double knot. Sorry, man fingers, you got to do it again. There we go. So we'll do the next one the same. One thread goes under, one goes over, and this is after you've knotted it. I'm going to demonstrate this a bit more. It was actually a kind of tricky part of putting the loom together. It's probably the part that we found most difficult. It's just tying these warp sticks on, strangely enough. I guess it's a bit fiddly, and you need to do the knots in a particular way. And it's a little bit hard to show on camera. It's hard to get the right angles and everything because there are hands and fingers and thumbs everywhere. So using that stick shuttle once again as a template for the next loop. This loop is for attaching another warp stick when you're actually warping, so that you don't have to tie directly onto this warp stick. You can attach another warp stick. All right, so showing once again how we go through to attach the string to the roller, taking that loop through, so that's doubled over, well it's in half, and then taking the two ends through that loop, and then that goes over the back cloth beam. And onto the stick. So we're at the front now. You don't need to do the extra loop when you're at the front. You just need to go through from the front and the back and then tie it off. I think we're going to show that a little bit more. Yeah, we are. Okay, so yeah, this is the front warp stick and it's a little bit different to the back warp stick. Also both ends through the hole, and then you bring the ends either side and tie them. A double knot again. We'll get some better angles on this in a moment. As I said, it's really hard to get the right angles to show you. So both ends go through that hole in the front warp stick. They come around the bottom and they go out either side and then get tied twice. The main thing with putting the warping sticks on really is to make sure that the warping sticks are straight and that you have the same length. So as you can see here, just testing it, holding it out and seeing, is it actually straight? Because you want your warp to go on straight and your warp's going to be attached to these sticks. So both ends through the hole. Bring them out either side. Okay, so test your stick and make sure it looks straight, that all of the lengths of cord are the same. Now at the very end, you'll probably need to adjust your shafts because you'll find that they're sitting pretty low. And the easy way to adjust them is just to adjust those textile cords with the holes. Well, I hope this video was helpful to you, and most of all I hope that you really enjoy your new loom. Shortly I'm going to commence work on a table loom course, and that's going to show you everything for getting set up on your table loom and weaving a project on it. So look out for that one. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thank you for watching, and until next time, happy weaving!